All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful and honestly kind of invisible forces shaping our world right now, the deliberate engineering of public opinion. It's the question on everyone's mind. It feels like we're more divided than ever, but what if that division isn't just happening? What if it's actually a calculated outcome? That's what we're going to unpack. So there's this quiet revolution going on. It's not happening in factories or on highways, but in the very tools used to influence how we think, how we feel, and how we vote. And you guessed it, at the very heart of this revolution is artificial intelligence. I mean, this is a massive shift. Think about it. In the old days, shaping public opinion was crazy expensive. You had to buy TV ads, billboards. You were basically shouting the same message to everyone. But today, AI has completely flipped the script. It's cheap, it's super targeted, and it can deliver a unique, persuasive message one-to-one to each and every one of us. And this brings us to a really crucial term, persuasion technology. Look, these are not just your average ads. We're talking about sophisticated AI tools designed to do one thing incredibly well: shape what an entire population believes with pinpoint accuracy and for a fraction of the old cost. This changes the entire game. So if the tools have changed, the game has to change too, right? When you can mold public opinion with this kind of precision, it stops being this wild, unpredictable thing you have to react to. It starts being something you can actually build. And let's remember the basic rule of the game in any democracy. It's pretty simple. To get major policies passed and to govern effectively, leaders, the elites, they need public backing. They have to get a majority on their side. Okay, so this lays out the new playbook perfectly. Step 1, the goal is always majority support. Step 2, in the past, getting there was expensive and kind of a shot in the dark. Step 3, now AI makes influencing what we believe cheap and incredibly precise. And that leads to the real kicker. Step 4, public opinion is no longer just a byproduct of events. It's a designable object, a strategic choice to be made. Now, you might think this new power leads to one simple outcome, more control. But what the research shows is something way more interesting. There are actually two very distinct paths that can emerge, and they lead to totally different outcomes for society. So let's check out the first scenario. Imagine there's a single dominant group or power, and their goal is to shape public opinion to keep their control. Well, in that case, the most efficient strategy is what's called the polarization pull. See, instead of trying to convince everyone in the messy middle, it's actually cheaper and way more effective to just energize your base and pull people toward more extreme positions. This tech basically puts that drift toward a polarized society on hyperdrive. But what happens when there isn't just one power calling the shots? What if you have two opposing sides fighting it out for that majority support? This is where things get really, really counterintuitive. The whole strategy flips. Instead of just pulling people to the extremes, a competing power might decide to create a semi-lock region. What does that mean? It means building a super cohesive, unified group of supporters whose opinions are so uniform, so locked in, that they become much harder for a rival to break apart or persuade. It's like building an ideological fortress. So get this, the very same technology is a total double-edged sword. When one power is dominant, it drives division. But in a competitive fight, it can actually create incentives to build intense group cohesion, to essentially dampen polarization within a group to make it stronger against the other side. Let's pull all this together. What we're really looking at is a future where the divisions and the unities we see in society might not be accidents of history or culture. They might be deliberate designs. This quote just nails the paradigm shift. We have to move away from seeing polarization as something that just happens to us. We now have to think of it as a potential strategic instrument, a tool that can be actively used to achieve political goals. So what's the bottom line? Why does this all matter so much? Well, for one, public opinion can now be engineered. Division isn't always a bug. Sometimes it's the feature. And, of course, the insane speed of AI advances is just accelerating all of this, creating some pretty profound new challenges for the very idea of a stable democracy. We think of our beliefs as being deeply personal, as the very core of who we are. But as the science of shaping those beliefs gets more and more powerful, more and more precise, it leaves us with one final and pretty heavy question. How much of what we believe is truly our own?